This video was brought to you by Brilliant, and the first 200 people to use the link below will get 20% off an annual premium subscription. For the last few years, there's been almost constant speculation that Putin has some sort of illness, with various outlets claiming that Putin has everything from Parkinson's to some sort of cancer. But despite the Kremlin's repeated denials, some of his recent media performances have only added fuel to the fire. So in this video, we're going to be taking a look at the evidence and try and figure out if Putin is really at death's door. Then, perhaps more importantly, we'll take a look at what these rumors can tell us about the psychology of war more generally. Now, before I get into the video, a quick disclaimer. We're conscious that this sort of video can seem a bit speculative and tabloidy, so we'd like to explain why we thought it was a topic worth covering. Firstly, it does actually matter if Putin is ill, because it affects his decision-making calculus. That could end up impacting all of us. If he really is on death's door, then he has less incentive to avoid things like nuclear war than he would otherwise, and more incentive to escalate war in Ukraine to achieve his desired outcome sooner than he might otherwise. Secondly, while there's very little solid evidence to suggest that Putin is actually ill, the story itself is nonetheless interesting because it tells us something about how the media works in times of war, something we'll touch on later. Anyway, qualifiers aside, let's get into it. The immediate cause of this video is an interview that appeared last week in the Ukrainian news outlet Pravda, where Ukraine's head of military intelligence claimed that he had definitive proof that Putin is seriously ill with not just cancer, but, quote, several serious illnesses. In the same interview, though, Ukraine's intelligence chief claimed that Putin was unlikely to die before the war in Ukraine was over, claiming that he, quote, has at least a few years left. But it still sparked a flurry of media attention, especially in Western outlets, to the point that Russia's foreign minister had to explicitly reject the rumors that Putin was at all ill. Now, this isn't the first time that we've heard rumors about Putin's impending demise. In 2014, various Eastern European outlets and the New York Post reported that Putin had pancreatic cancer, something that the Kremlin angrily denied. Then, in late 2020, British newspaper The Sun suggested that Putin had both cancer and Parkinson's disease. Then, in late 2021, various Russian outlets reported that Putin was suffering from back issues, which was later confirmed by Putin's ally, Lukashenko. Anyway, since the invasion of Ukraine, reports of Putin's ill health have become increasingly common. These days, there's a new report basically every week suggesting that the Russian president has some sort of ailment, from spinal cord cancer to brain aneurysms, with increasingly fantastic details. A Times report from April, for example, claimed that Putin had been bathing in blood extracted from severed deer antlers in order to cure his cancer. Now, while it seems very unlikely that Putin spends his free time bathing in deer marrow, there have nonetheless been a couple of more semi-credible reports, including one from New Lines magazine in early May. That's because New Lines had managed to get hold of a recording between a Western venture capitalist and a Russian oligarch, where the oligarch, unaware that he was on tape, claimed that Putin had some sort of late-stage blood cancer. The other interesting report came from Bellingcat, an online forensic research team, who claimed to have got a hold of an internal FSB memo instructing regional chiefs to deny all rumors of Putin's ill health. Anyway, these reports are often accompanied by clips of Putin apparently displaying symptoms of various illnesses. For instance, there are all of those videos of Putin at his ridiculously long table, apparently because he's paranoid about COVID, which would be consistent with some sort of terminal illness. There's also this video of him clinging onto a table during his meeting with Sergei Shoigu, which could have been interpreted as a symptom of Parkinson's. Then there's quite a few videos of him suffering from apparently involuntary hand and leg tremors, which could also be a symptom of Parkinson's. So, what does all of this mean? Well, while these reports might inspire hope for anyone who wants Putin gone, at the end of the day, this is all very much circumstantial, and most of the videos can be explained by the fact that he's nearly 70. While he's definitely in slightly worse shape than he used to be, that's sort of what you'd expect from a guy entering his third decade as a world leader. It's also worth saying that most of this analysis has been done by internet sleuths, and US intelligence chiefs are apparently skeptical of the idea that there's anything seriously wrong with Putin. Now, that doesn't mean he definitely isn't ill. At the very least, he's clearly in worse nick than he was a few years ago. But we're just saying that you probably shouldn't expect Putin to kick the bucket anytime soon. So, if there's no solid evidence, how come this story is sticking around? Well, there are a few obvious reasons. Firstly, it's a nice story, at least for Western publics who don't approve of Putin's invasion. The idea that Putin is about to keel over appeals to our sense of cosmic justice, and gives us hope for some sort of easy end to the conflict. And it's similar to the reason that we still hear stories about a coup in the Kremlin, even though there's very little evidence to suggest that Putin has any internal challenges. Secondly, Ukraine has an incentive to propagate this idea, because it doubtless improves morale. We should say here that we're not suggesting that Ukraine's intelligence chief was lying when he gave that interview last week. But it's nonetheless true that Ukraine has an incentive to keep this rumour swirling, which means they might be more active in their briefing. All in all then, the Putin illness story is an interesting example of how war can affect the media. Otherwise reputable sources have run stories with little evidence, suggesting that Putin bathes in reindeer blood, or doing some sort of pop psychology analysis of his posture. Ultimately, we're unlikely to ever know if Putin is actually ill. And if he is, then good luck to those of us who don't want a nuclear apocalypse. But in the days before nuclear end time, why not improve yourself with Brilliant?
Brilliant is an online STEM learning platform that teaches you everything you need to know to better understand the modern world. Baffled by investment and finance? Well, they've got courses on maths and quantitative finance. Confused by coding? Well, they've got everything from the very basics right through to quantum computing. Unclear why you're losing millions? Well, there's no guarantee that Brilliant can help with that, but they do have courses on cryptocurrency and gambling. You get the point. Everything you want to learn about STEM is covered by Brilliant. And the best thing is that all of their courses are designed by award-winning instructors and built upon the principle of active learning. So you're gaining STEM knowledge by actually doing it. So if you want to improve with STEM, then you can sign up to Brilliant at brilliant.org/TLDR EU. And the first 200 people to do so will get 20% off an annual premium subscription. Thanks for supporting the channel.